welcome to my podcast. I'm Mark Mayer, and this is sledADK. A lot of you know me from my trail reporting page on Facebook. I appreciate you tuning in. Podcast. I figured this would be a fun thing to do. Everybody's doing podcasts now. How hard can it be? For my part, it's not as easy as I thought it would be. This is probably my 20th take at trying to get my first show online. So if you'll bear with me, I might fumble through this one a little bit, but practice makes perfect, right? Anyway, so why am I doing a podcast? Like I said, you all know me from my trail reporting page on Facebook. I've been doing this for over 10 years now, and I thought this would be another way to get information out to you. It's always been my mission to get accurate and honest reports to you about the trail conditions here in the West Central Adirondacks, particularly the Big Moose, Old Forge, Eagle Bay, and inlet areas, and the surrounding trail systems as well, out to Branningham, the Hill, Tupper, Lake Placid, you name it, anything that connects to the Town of Webb Trail system, I try to report on, either from personal experience or through our members on the group that provide information from their rides. But it is the beginning of the season, so I thought this is a good time to drop the first show and talk a little bit about what's coming up in the next couple of weeks. What I found hardest about this podcast is I don't have any guests on, so nobody to talk to, nobody to banter with or fill in the space. I did have a script put together, which after reading through it sounded more like a speech than an actual podcast. So I'm just going to wing it, and I hope you bear with me. So how did I get into this trail reporting, snowmobiling? I'll try and keep the story a little short. A lot of you have probably heard a little bit about my background. My wife and I bought the Big Moose Inn back in 2010. We were hospitality professionals and just needed to change in our lifestyle. And knowing hotels, we thought this would be a good choice. And it was. It changed our lives for the better, obviously. Snowmobiling was foreign to us. Winter wasn't. Seasons weren't. I'm an Army brat. My father was in the military, so I grew up all around the world. But never actually snowmobiled. Throughout the years, I found you either grew up snowmobiling, you were introduced to it by a friend or significant other, or you tried it out of curiosity. I fell into the latter just by default, by owning the inn and going through our first winter and realizing that our clientele was 95% snowmobilers. I figured I might as well try the sport and get to know what it is that is so exciting about it, that so many people come up and do that here, to ride here in this area. Anyway, so I was hooked. That first winter, I was sitting at the bar after hours, and the guys that were staying at the inn, we were having a great conversation at the bar. They came to find out that I never rode a snowmobile before. So next thing I knew, I was throwing on my Carhartts, put a helmet in my hand, and Glenn said, "Here, take mine." And yeah, my instructions were basically, here's the throttle, here's the brake. Now just go out on the lake and let it rip. And that was my first introduction to snowmobiling, and I haven't stopped since. Anyway, a lot of these podcasts do talk about the sleds, about tuning them, working on them. I'm not that guy. I'm not a wrench. There are people who are far better at it than me, and I leave that to them. Don't get me wrong. I can do the basics. I can change out my own carbides. I can replace a belt, that kind of stuff. But beyond that, I just call my buddies who love doing that kind of shit and rely on them to do the heavy work. Anyway, so how did I get into trail reporting? The funny thing is that after that first winter here at Big Moose, we started getting phone calls almost on not on a daily basis. We would get inundated with phone calls about how are the trails? Can we come riding? What's it going to be like? Is the lake safe? All the questions that you hear on the Facebook page. I decided, why don't I just start a Facebook group where everybody can chime in, for better or worse, and get the information out to people without having to answer the phone all the time. So we were inundated with phone calls, and Sue looked at me one day and went, just make it stop. That's when I decided to start the Facebook page. 12 years later, here we are, and close to 30,000 followers on the page. I thought maybe this would be another opportunity to expand what I started. What I'd like to do in the next coming weeks, if this pans out and you guys enjoy the podcast, is invite guests on to talk about everything snowmobile related, from the trail conditions to events that are up and coming. So let's talk about what's going on right now. The lake effect machine was in full force last couple of days. Monday and Tuesday, it dropped somewhere close to 12 to 14 inches here in the Big Moose area. About the same around Old Forge and Eagle Bay. There are some places on the hill that got twice as much. But what does that mean for the season? We're here early on. We've all seen seasons start really strong, getting snow dumps in November and then it going away for all of December, like last year, which was just horrible. But fingers crossed, this time maybe it'll stick around. Talked to the groomers this morning. They've been out since the snow fell, packing it down, rolling as much as they could, where they could. But the consensus is that on Monday morning, when the season starts, they'll open up all the gates, at least here in the town of Webb trail system. So that's great news. Not too often do we actually get to ride on the first day of the season. That being said, lake effect snow, 12, 14 inches, translates to, after being packed down, to maybe 2-3 inches of a base. But it's better than nothing. We're all excited about getting out there and riding, so we'll see what happens. Obviously, next week when the podcast drops, I'll hopefully have been out on the trails and can give everybody an idea of what it looks like. But it looks promising. Rideable snowdeos have been few and far between in the last 10 years. This one looks like it may shape up to be a good one. Temperatures in the short-term forecast look promising. Everything is staying pretty much right around freezing or below. That should keep what we have here on the ground. Not a lot of snow in the forecast at the moment, but you never know. Some of the updates that might interest you. The connector to Brantingham is now back where it always has been, intersection 14 on Trail 1. They've actually did some work on that connector trail and widened it a little bit. I'd love to make it out to the Pine Tree or Coach Slide early next week if it were possible. But yeah, I'll try and get out in the trails early next week, get a little more information to you guys, let you know what it looks like, take some pictures, post them on the Facebook group, and report back to you on next week's podcast. Like I said, I'm going to have the president of CAA on hopefully next week prior to Snowdeo, which is the 9th and 10th, and she'll be able to talk to you guys about what they're doing this year. It sounds like the pavilion is sold out. They got quite a few vendors coming, but I'll let her talk about that in the next podcast. Also, I talked to Ron at Trackside Blazers. They're working with the rail authorities to figure out how to get snow on the trestle, or keep snow on the trestle, to be exact. We all know the trestle is nowhere near fun to ride when there's no snow on it. So they're working on that. A couple of other things that been brought to my attention. Good news, the Durant on Racket Lake will be open this season for the first time in many years, so we're very excited about that. There are some new restaurants coming online this winter that weren't here last year, like the Eagle Bay Inn in Eagle Bay. There's up north also in Eagle Bay. There's Toca Boca in Old Forge. And some of these places, I get more information on anything that they're doing special, I will let you know. The Glenmore will be open this winter. I just heard that the Arctic Cat Party will be there on Snowdio. That's also great news. It'll still be a limited kitchen, but having the Glenmore back online will be fun. And a lot of you probably know our circumstances, and unfortunately we lost the inn to a fire on Memorial Day weekend. We're still working through that whole process. It's a tough subject, but despite that, I'm going to still be here reporting on trail conditions. I love the sport like many of you do. I look forward to talking to you guys more. Maybe we'll do a live show here or there. We'll see what pans out. In the meantime, if you guys have any suggestions, questions that you answered, please send them to me. You know where to find me. If nothing else, you can always email me at mark@bigmooseinn.com. So this was a very short show, just as an introduction, trying to work out some kinks with the recording, audio, video, all that good stuff. Like I said, this is my first try at this, so bear with me. I will try and improve it for future shows. And give me your honest opinion. I'd love to hear back from you. This is supposed to be fun. Like I said, I'm a newbie at this, and hopefully it'll just get better in time. In the meantime, you guys stay safe. I will continue reporting on the Facebook page as well. And I'm signing off. You guys have a great night or a great day. Hopefully we'll see you next week. I'm Mark Mayer, and this is sledADK. Thank you.